And he looks at me and he goes, "Why are you so fat?"
She like just pinched my arm and she was like, "You didn't lose enough weight for that dress." And I was like,
and I remember a girl was like, "Oh my God, you got stretch marks on the back of your legs. I hope I don't get that when I get pregnant." And I remember I just want to cry.
That's real. I feel like I've gone through similar situations.
Yeah.
This whole thing, I feel like I've gone through
Yeah.
similar situations. So I
Yeah.
get you. I'm here. Tell us a little bit about like how body image shaped you as a child. Like, what was your view of that growing up?
I struggled with my weight my entire life, from what I can remember. From a very young age, I think I was in first or second grade. I got on the bus. I'm sitting in the row by myself, and this kid was across the aisle from me in the row, and he looks at me, and I'm just like, why is he staring? In my young mind. But I just looked at him, and so he looks at me and he goes, "Why are you so fat?" Right to my face. And I was like, now I'm a child, right? Like first, second grade, I'm young. And I was just so devastated by that,
Mm-hmm.
And I really didn't have a response for him because I'm like, first of all, what kind of question? I don't know. Like, what kind of question
I
is
couldn't
that?
even answer that.
Yeah, like I wouldn't have an answer. Even if that didn't catch me off guard, I still wouldn't have an answer for you. I got home and my mother could tell something was wrong with me, and I just was crying about it. Like, just bust out crying. That was probably the first time that I really became like conscious of my weight and that it was not right. That honestly made me want to hide or to make myself kind of disappear.
Yeah, it's like an eye opener for you.
Yeah,
something that you didn't even care about.
Didn't think about.
It's a thing.
Yeah, and now I want to be invisible everywhere I go. I remember feeling like that, like as a child, and of course, like now that I'm older, I reflect back and realize that that's what I've been doing my whole life. But I was really quiet and really shy, and that was because I just didn't want to be seen. Like, I just did not want to really have anybody address that again, So it's like, if I could just stay quiet, nobody will have to talk to me about my weight.
That is so unfortunate, one, because as a first grader, you're probably 7, 6, right?
Mm-hmm.
What child has to go through
that at
that much of an early age?
Yeah. You don't have the capacity to process that at that age.
Not at all. Other than be self-conscious because I feel rejected.
Mm-hmm.
Why does body image matter to you?
Ooh, probably because it matters to everybody else so much. I don't think people realize how much body and like your size, just everything about your body is so at the forefront. That's the first thing people see, right? Before they hear you even. They see you.
It's how you look.
Yeah, so like for the most part, everything, any interaction you have, like even on jobs, like everything that you do in the world when you interact with people, they judge you a lot by how you look. And for us, especially women, it's a lot about your body and what your body looks like, especially when you're younger and you don't have the typical body, whatever that is, right? Because when you're young, and throughout the years, that changes. Whatever the attractive body type is, right? It changes. But if you don't have it, it becomes a source of, I guess, sadness or, like it bothers you. And so I guess that's why body image matters a lot to me, because it becomes the way that we form our opinions about ourselves. It starts a lot with the outer appearance.
As children, we learn by what we see or what we see people do or what society does. And so if body image is so pushed in our faces, like subliminally, it's like subconsciously always, I guess in our mind, it's like a glorified thing. And if we don't look like that image, then it's like something wrong with us. That's what it sounds like you're saying.
Right, exactly.
Have you had any friends speak negatively about you with like your weight?
Friends, no. But I think people do this in general. They say things about themselves that are kind of an indirect reflection of you. So,
Give me an example.
Like I've been friends with, I seem to always be friends with like a really petite girl, like throughout my life, like especially when I was in middle school, high school. I had two friends who were just petite, like 5 foot, 98 pounds, like like super small.
And you look crazy big next to them.
Yeah,
like,
they're just small people. Yeah, and they would say stuff like, "Oh, I'm so fat," or like because they would eat a lot, or if somebody who was skinny put on 10 pounds, they're just like, "Oh, I let myself go. I'm never gonna find a man now because I'm huge." And I'm like, so what you think about me? Like,
and they're like, no, not you.
Yeah, not you.
Yeah.
Okay, but this is like, so the way that they would feel about themselves for gaining weight or not, whatever it is, like the way they would speak about themselves, I'm just like, so what is it that you actually think about me? And I don't think that they were necessarily, that they actually thought anything about me. I think that everybody is conscious of body image, right? They're just expressing their own,
like to them in their own
frame, and it's kind of like, well, this is that's you, and that's fine for you, but it's not something I would want for me. It's that kind of thing.
It still feels weird though, because they say like, I feel fat, and you're like, so I'm obese then,
right? And they're like, no, you look fine, and you're like, I can't, like I look fine for me, but you wouldn't want to look like me, right? Which is like,
how do you feel like the images online affect how you feel about yourself present day?
So present day, I don't think that they have much of an effect on the way I feel about myself. If your entire image or your view of yourself is wrapped up in how you look, like that's not sustainable. It's just not. So I got really, I became familiar with the intangible aspects of who I am, and those things I really like, right? Those are the things that, for one, people can't take from you.
Nope.
They don't have to change. I'll say that, right? Like, people change, or you change, but like my weight, I'm gonna struggle with my weight for the rest of my life, right? Like, even when I get to the size I want to get to, I'm gonna have to continue to work to maintain it, right? Because I'm just not naturally,
it's like a woman's thing.
I can't just live my life and be small, right? I'm gonna always have to work for it. So knowing that there's always gonna be a possibility of that fluctuation, like, it's just not stable enough for you to have your whole identity wrapped up in that, right? Like, then I will be not feeling good about myself every season, right? As soon as you put on any amount of weight, like, that's just not good enough. And really, it's almost like when you spend time to learn yourself and work on the things that you don't like about yourself, but also recognize the things that you do like about yourself, like, you fall in love with who you are. I just fell in love with more of the intangible things, and really base my esteem on that and on my relationship with Christ.
Yeah. So letting God define you and not the world's standards define you.
Absolutely. And so because of that, I'm not as swayed now by what I see in media. Because that's not what I'm striving for anyway.
What is body image to you? Like, how would you define that?
So body image to me is kind of like how, when you look in the mirror, what do you see? But also not what you see, like, how do you feel about it? There's days that my body image is good. There's days that it's horrible. There's days that I'm just like, I can dig it. I'm cool with it. Like, I'm not where I want to be, but you know, it's okay. Like I know what I need to do kind of thing. But body image is more not just what you look like, but also how you feel about what you're seeing.
So just kind of tell me how your upbringing shaped like how you feel about yourself when it comes to body image.
So growing up Dominican, obviously my parents and my family always made a lot of food all the time. But when I was younger, I didn't really have a lot of issues because I was itty bitty tiny. Living in New York, very active lifestyle. We always walked everywhere, trains everywhere, buses. So it wasn't like a huge thing. So growing up, I never really thought about it up until I moved to Texas, because I came to a place that you had to drive everywhere, and everything was so far, and the food portions are so big. And
everything is bigger in Texas, right?
Right, exactly. Everything is for real bigger in Texas. And then I hit puberty, and then that changed everything. My body started changing. I started picking up eating habits because my body was, I guess, needing more, wanting more as I was going through this transition into womanhood. And I just started eating a lot, and I noticed, you know, my booty getting a little bigger, my legs getting a little bigger, my arms, and it wasn't anything that I was like stressed about all the time, up until probably when I graduated high school. When I graduated high school and I wasn't as active anymore doing things, going into college, that's when I really took a nosedive, because it was just school and getting back home and doing schoolwork. So I was stress eating from school, and I packed on weight, you know, that freshman 15 turned into freshman 30. And I think that's what got me into going into fitness. Being in college, and my roommates were all itty bitty, and I was the only one that was like thick or bigger. So I was like, you know what? Like, I think I wanna do something to change the way that I look.
What did that look like that season for you, where your weight is like yo-yoing?
So whenever I got into fitness and I went from insanity to P90X to then Instagram came on the scene around 2012, and I found this girl who does fitness competitions, and I saw her picture and I was like, wow, like she looks intense. Clicked on it. I saw what she was doing. She did competition. So I was like, you know what? That's my next challenge. I want to do a competition. I didn't realize how much it was going to take, how much of me mentally, physically, emotionally. And it was a lot. It was a lot of restriction. It was a lot of discipline. When motivation wasn't kicking in, I had to be disciplined and stick to my eating plan and my rigorous workout schedule. Plus, trying to manage everything else in your life. At that point, I didn't have as many responsibilities. It was just school, so it was a little easier. If I just competed 1 year, I would give myself a break because I would just be over it of all the restriction. So I would kind of give myself a break for about a year, and then in that year, I would notice myself slipping back, and then I would gain the weight, and then I'd be like, oh, I'm going to do another competition to get back to where I needed to be. And it wasn't up until recently, my last competition, July of 2018, I realized this time around, I was like, I need to stop doing these competitions to get back to where I need to be. I need to find a happy medium to where I'm living a lifestyle, a balanced lifestyle where I can still enjoy my family, my friends, events, things that I want to be a part of, because life is passing by so fast. And to think back and think of all the restrictions and all the things that I had to go through and put myself through, just because I was trying to be this, you know, tiny girl or whatever I want to do, or like fit the fitness criteria, I missed out on a lot. I was using it as a tool that was actually working against me, because I was using it as this thing that I kind of put up on a pedestal, like, oh my gosh, when I compete, like I get down to where I need to be because I have coaches who keep me in line. They tell me what to eat. They tell me what to drink, what to work out. But for some reason, it's harder for me to do it alone. And I told myself this time around, I was like, I have to figure out a way to make this a lifestyle, not a competition goal.
When you were on season, you were very successful at like sticking to the schedule, your rigorous trainings. It sounded like you were very successful. So like, how time consuming was that? Like, walk us through what that looked like.
When I was getting ready for a competition on a daily basis, I would have to do at least probably 45 minutes to an hour of cardio. I would do...
And that's daily.
And that's daily. I had 1 day of rest on normally Sundays. And then I would do meal prepping every 3 days. So I was constantly cooking all the time. And sometimes I would just even order meal prepped foods that were already prepared. The time that I was spending was pretty much in the gym and cooking most of the time. So that takes up a pretty good chunk of your daily day. Like now that I think back and I'm not competing anymore, I'm like, I don't even have enough time to do like 1 hour at the gym. I can't imagine putting myself back in those shoes, but you have to really sacrifice a lot of things. Sacrifice birthdays, sacrifice outings, going out to dinner with your friends. Like that stuff ceases to exist during that time when you become isolated and you kind of become lonely. It creates issues with your family. It can create issues with your significant other. Last year when I was competing, that's when I met my now husband, and it was really, really hard because I was trying to manage being in this new relationship, and in the newness of the relationship you want to like go on dates and you want them to court you and to, you know, take you places, and every time you're like, well, I can't eat that. Well, I can't. Well, you know what? And I would just be in a bad mood. And I'm like, you know, I just don't even want to go because I'm going to put myself through torture. Like, why would I do that to myself? So it takes up more than just time. It takes away kind of some of like your sanity.
So during that time when you were competing, like, did you ever consider surgery?
Yeah, absolutely. There was a lot of times where I would tell people, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to get liposuction because this is just too hard. Like, I don't even want to deal with this anymore. It doesn't matter like what I do, like the stubborn belly fat won't go away. And the truth of it was that I was genetically, like in my family, like we gain weight in certain places, just like you gain weight in certain places. I know bigger girls that have a chiseled face that look really tiny, or girls that are the opposite. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what I do. This is the body type that I have, and of course I can work hard and chisel myself to what I can, the best that I can look, but I'm still never going to look again like that girl. So I wanted to, you know, get surgeries. I wanted to take the fat out of my chin area. And now the whole surgery is everyone on Instagram looks the same. Everyone looks like a Coke bottle.
Gosh, I'm dead.
Everyone has these crazy hips, snatched waists because they're taking all the fat out of their stomachs, putting it on their butts and on their hips. Their legs don't match. I'm just like, and I mean, and no offense to anyone that wants to get surgery. I have gotten certain surgeries. Like I've gotten my breast done. And before I got into competitions, that was something that I really wanted. My breasts were small. It was after my first transformation. I had been bigger and I lost so much weight that my breast became flaccid. So I was like,
there was just so much loose skin.
I was 19 and I was like, I look like I just gave birth to a child and I just finished breastfeeding. But I didn't know that through working out, everything would tighten back up. And I was so young. Eventually everything would tighten back up. I didn't allow my body enough time to adjust. So I rushed into having surgery. And then I had a revision surgery because I got them so big to fill out all the space that they actually started to sag. And I was like, okay, so now I have to go back for the second surgery. Now I have scars. Scars that I may not have wanted, but I felt like it was necessary because I was uncomfortable. They were so big. Like everyone wants big boobs, everyone wants a big booty, everyone's opting for surgery, and then they're saying that they're getting these results by working out, and then that's also messing up body image because now all these girls are trying to work out because this Instagram model posted that, you know, she used this flat tummy tea to get this body. Girl, you did not. And now all these younger girls that haven't been in the game, that don't know what I know, are going to order this tea thinking they're going to get the body you have, when in reality you got it under the knife, not under hard work.
You went to Dr. So-and-so. One thing that stood out to me when you said that was like you got a reduction surgery and ended up with scars. And like that's the risk that you took to do that. And so it makes me think of these women that are going under the knife and sacrificing just their body
absolutely
for that standard of perfection. That's so scary. Like you just, it's a huge risk. Like you're literally putting your life in somebody's hands and telling them, I want you to make me look like this, and it's like a huge risk of it not coming out how you want it to look. So have you noticed any difference about how you were treated versus how like your smaller friends were treated? So like let's say you're out and you were like the bigger one.
Yes.
Have you noticed any differences, like how you were treated?
Absolutely. Yeah, I have vivid memories.
Girl, come on, vivid.
Like, oh my God.
I don't want to trigger you, but if you want to talk about it, you just like, I'm stressed.
We triggered now. Yeah, there is an instance. So like I have a friend, her name's Maria. Hey, Fernanda. She is beautiful. She is just like this Latina fire, tiny. She's always been tiny, petite. Since I've ever known her, she's never been big. And anytime that we were out together and I was like on my off season or on the rebound, or, you know, I came off that competition season and I gained 20 pounds or whatever it was, we'd be walking at the mall or we would go out and all these guys would come up to her or come up to me, hey, what's your friend's name?
Yeah.
Like, hey, like, oh man, your friend's beautiful.
Like,
and I'm just like,
checking
and
for
what
the
am I?
other
Just chopped liver? Like, I'm just sitting here.
Chopped
Like,
liver. I'm not her wingman today, okay?
I know. And like, I would feel, you know, and especially like when I was single, like that would be hurtful because I'd be like, wow, like I want guys to think I'm pretty. I want guys to think that we're both beautiful, that we're both sexy. I was really hurt a few times, and like I didn't want to make her feel bad for just being bomb and being who she is. Like, I'm never gonna dim your light to make myself feel better. You're beautiful, period. Beautiful. But inside, I mean, I kept that inside, and I was just like, wow, like I would get home and like, you know, taking off my clothes and just look at myself in the mirror and just be like, I mean, I see why they didn't want to say nothing to me. Like, I get it. Like, I know that I'm off track. And that was like a check for me.
And you start to self-sabotage
absolutely.
based off of how other people are viewing you.
Absolutely.
It must be true if everybody's saying that.
Exactly. Whenever I was at my lows, I didn't think anyone could even see me romantically or sexually. I felt like I just felt like a blob. Like, who's gonna think I'm sexy? Like, I don't even feel sexy. And that's a thing that we don't realize. We project what we project what we think, and it's not even, some people may not even be thinking it, but we're projecting our insecurities out into the world, and we think that's what we're getting back without even finding out. So we just completely cut ourselves off, and then you isolate yourself because you've already have your mind made up about this thing that it's not, you don't even know if it's real. There's men that like thicker girls. True. There's men that would have probably thought I was sexy or desirable or whatever, but I convinced myself that I wasn't.
Yeah, you rule yourself out already just because of
you don't even give yourself a chance. Yeah, I remember like going on certain dates and stuff and apologizing for the way that I look, or oh, I'm sorry, like I have a back roll, or like, oh, I'm sorry, like, you know, this, and I'm just like,
and it's so second nature.
Yeah, and then they'd be like, I don't care about that, and that was when I knew that I was ruling myself out before they were even ruling me out, because I was already making up my mind that they were going to have an issue with having a back roll or whatever it is.
I'm mad right now because I feel like I'm in a counseling session with you because this literally just happened to me over the weekend, and it just happened so automatic, like our automatic thinking because of the upbringing and how people viewed us and how we view ourselves, and now it's just almost second nature.
High school, I was athletic. I did track. I did band. My last year I did cheerleading. So I was always active. I've always been active since I was young. I had my oldest while I was in school. And so at the time, I'm 19 years old going through this whole body transformation and thinking, oh, I'm fat. And I'm not. I'm just like, I probably gained like 20, 30 pounds, and I was still a good size weight. For me, I think when I had my second child and I was just finishing like undergrad, like I ended up getting pregnant again, but by this time I'm like 4 or 5 years older now. So, but still young, you know, not as mature in where I want to be in life. I got to a point I'm just like, it's time to get back on it. I told myself before I even have another kid, I want to lose weight. That didn't happen, whatever. And so I think by that time I was like, I'm bigger now. And it's just like, I can't fit certain stuff. I can't wear certain stuff. And then, you know, when you introduce social media, you want to get the perfect angle. You want to get the perfect picture. You don't want to look a certain way. And then, you know, you get that perfect picture, but then boom, here come your friend posting the rough picture, and it's just back to reality. And just like,
has weight ever affected your self-esteem?
Yeah, because, you know, with, like I said, it goes back to when your weight changed, like, you can't wear certain clothes. So then you just like, oh, I don't feel cute. Or you go somewhere and you just like, you know, I don't like the way I look. They don't make clothes, you know, cute clothes in my size, when really they do. They're just expensive. But, that's you know, story. That's a whole nother story. But I think for me, it was just, I needed to find the balance and just stop focus on more like what I look like, what I'm wearing. And I think for me, when I started focusing less on that, like, my self-esteem was just like, girl, you still bomb. Like,
and really just loving yourself
right.
size.
Yeah.
So how did media play a role in body image for you? So TV, magazines, music videos, social media, how did that play a role in body image for you?
So For me, I think you just get tired of them posting the more fit woman. It's just like, so you telling me somebody that's curvier, plus she can't look good, she can't rock that lingerie, or she can't do this. So I just, they make it like the woman that's smaller, she gets the guy, she gets the job, she gets the perfect life, and it's just like, no, you can have all of that with being a little curvier. And so I just think I'm not gonna say it's an agenda that's pushed, but I think they feel like that's what people want to see. I follow a lot of people that's curvy, plus size, and they killing it. I mean, they are killing. I'm just like, if y'all start putting that out there more and having more inclusion, then people will be like, wake up and be like, you know what? We was sleeping. Like, y'all just need to wake up.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, like, when I look at my social media, I love to see the curvier girls killing it. Like, Ashley Graham is one of the people I follow on social media. I love her. Tess Holiday. I love to see women on my social media.
And to be honest with you, I think we definitely have the comparison. Especially like if you see someone that's living a similar lifestyle as you, or a lifestyle you aspire to have, and you feel like, I need to look like this so I can get this. I need to, or I need to look like this to get this connection. I had this friend, and it's just like, you know what? We gotta, you need to expand on what you following or what you looking at. Like, I have a broad selection. I like following slimmer people because I'm like, I like to do this so I can get healthy, or I can get fit, or when I get to that point, I can do this, or I like following this person because her style and she's more, my in my weight class, as one would say.
So with you being a blogger, do you ever feel pressure of looking a certain way because you are online and putting out a certain image?
Yes, and because I'm just now starting and tapping into that world is so new for me. What they call the imposter syndrome, and I'm just
it's
like,
real.
It's so real, and I don't think people realize that. And it's just like, I had to tell myself, back it up, like, you good, and because you feel like, I see a lot of these bloggers and influencers, and they're at a level that I aspire to be at one day. And so when I see them working with brands, when I see them having these good blog posts and all this stuff, I'm just like, maybe I need to dress like this. Maybe I need to do this. Maybe I need to, do this with my kids. I'm like, you know what? It's enough room for all of us. It's not oversaturated. Yes. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it being me. I'd rather 2 or 3 people like my content or whatever for me, then they have a big following and people, they just clueless or whatever the case may be. So
I agree. How do you feel being like plus size affects how men view you romantically?
I can speak from a marriage standpoint. Me and my husband have conversation. I always tell him, like, I don't want to just let myself get to a point where I'm unattractive to you. Not saying that being bigger is unattractive, but being unhealthy is. So, I don't want to do stuff with you and we out of breath. I don't want to go walking with you, or we go doing stuff and then I can't keep up,
Yeah, you out of breath while he running still.
Right. Or, even if we just walking, I'm like, hold on, give me a minute. I need the rest. So, for me, I just feel like making sure I keep myself healthy, myself up for my husband.
So, have you ever had friends speak negatively about you when it came to your weight? Or weight gain?
No. If they have, they ain't told me.
Yeah, well, that's good.
So they haven't told me. But I will say, it's funny because sometimes it's just, you hate to get spiritual, but it just be the enemy that does something. I will say that someone played on my phone a few years ago, and I don't know who it was. And some of the things they were saying was so, I could tell it was someone that knew me from years ago and must have seen me later on in life, because it's just things that they were saying that you can tell they really didn't know me. They knew of me.
I was about to say they knew of you.
But they made it a point to, you need to lose some weight. And I'm just like, is that the best you got?
Yeah.
It didn't necessarily bother me, but it just made me like, dang. Like, I did let myself go in a sense, when I had kids, and I started, I'm not gonna lie, I started like, I need to get on it. I need to lose weight because you got people out here that's just watching every move. But I told myself, you know what? Pause. I'm not finna do this because of somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Taking that pressure off yourself.
I'm finna do it for me. So I'm like, bye. I'm learning to give myself grace. I think now I'm at a point in my life where I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable being vulnerable with myself and with people. And I just don't care, you know, how you feel or how you feel about it. I'm comfortable. Like I said, I think that's the perfect way to put it. I've allowed myself grace.
So how long do you feel like it took you to get to that place?
I would say within the last year.
Yeah.
For me, with spiritual, I started changing the way like I pray. Like I feel like I was being selfish with my prayers, and I just told God like, just make me, you know, okay with where I am and where I'm at. Make me comfortable. You know, so I had to kind of change help me change my mentality.
Yeah.
You know, how I view myself in certain things. So then I started having peace because I started feeling less pressure to be perfect or to fit in or to make sure I have the perfect image, make sure I have the perfect job or whatever. And I was like, you know what? It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I ain't trying to impress nobody. No, it is what it is.
Yeah.
What is one thing that you want everybody to know about your struggle with your weight?
I guess I can go back and talk about really learning to love myself during the entire process, learning to be okay with where I was at the time that I was there. I hate having to go back and think, oh, well, if I could have just, like having all these epiphanies, when in reality, now that I feel like I'm older and I've gotten more wiser through my experiences, now I feel like I'm holding myself at a higher standard. So now I'm like, okay, girl, you've been through this. You've been through it multiple times. You already know. So sometimes I even catch myself posting things like, oh, I'm just so sick of my inconsistency. I'm just so sick of like my lack of discipline. And I want to be real and show people that I do feel that way. But I think it's important for you to, whenever you learn something, actually incorporate that into how you are now acting as a older, wiser human. Incorporate what you actually learn. Stop slipping
not
back.
just storing it, but
not just storing it.
implementing.
Exactly. You can believe something. And just like in my faith, my walk in my faith, like I could believe and I could have faith all I want in God. But if I don't actually operate in faith, nothing is ever going to happen for me because I'm not actually operating in what I'm saying that I operate in. I'm just saying that I do, but not actually doing it. So I think if I can, if anyone can learn anything about me, is just that I'm still working on trying to operate in what I talk, you know, walk the talk.
Don't look at body image as more of being fit or you know, you need to gain more weight. Like, be happy. Like, truly, like, be happy, be comfortable with yourself. If you want to be healthy, that is perfect. But don't let people pressure you or feel like, oh, I need to look a certain way to fit in with this crowd. I need to look a certain way to get this connection, to look a certain way to get this job. No, because if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Don't try to change yourself to fit in. And yeah, pretty much it.
I agree.
Stay true and solid to yourself.
Stay true, 10 toes down.
10 toes down.
Because I feel like once you start wanting to change yourself to look like somebody else, you will never be satisfied with who you are, and it's always going to be something else you want to change.
Right.
And so really just learning like who you are and being content with that.
Right.
So you don't even have the pressure to like change something else.
I probably have not shown it, but it has not been easy. There's a lot of things that happen in life on a daily basis that are constant reminders of my weight, even to this day. You know, like there are things that I come in contact with, and I'm sure other people who struggle with weight come in contact with all the time, constantly, that are just like, if you let them, they just beat you down, you know? I guess I want people to just be aware and sensitive to the topic, because I think that there are people who love and care about people who struggle with their weight and do not realize that they are also damaging to their self-esteem, you know?
Yeah.
Just because you're unaware, you know, I want people to be aware and kind of sensitive to struggles that you may never have to deal with.